connected to thee. She is the root connection. She is connecting with thee. Here I go and I don't know why I flow so ceaselessly. Could it be he's
My name is
taking over me?
but many know me simply as Ruben, and among my colleagues and critics also as Gomi no Sensei, the master of garbage. Today, I want to tell you a story filled with memories, losses, and rebirths, a story that emerges from the shadows of a difficult past and stretches towards a future yet to be written. I am an artist, a creator of artworks that come to life from ancient waste. Every piece I use carries within it the echo of an era marked by nearly 3 centuries of environmental disasters and conflicts, up to the threat of nuclear wars that were miraculously stopped in time. The 25th century, though relatively quiet, is the stage where the scars of the past intertwine with the hope for a better tomorrow. My journey began on the grounds of a vast peninsula located in the south of Japan, entirely formed from waste. Until I was 15, that expanse of garbage was my home, a place of poverty and cruelty resilience. In those years, I lived side by side with my grandfather, a man devoted to a now lost religion, a syncretism of ancient monotheistic traditions, Buddhism, and Hinduism. While he accepted fate with the calm that only faith can provide, regarding it as the will of a forgotten God, I couldn't help but view his belief as madness, even though my affection for him was immeasurable. Then, the new technologies, aimed at recovering precious materials from waste, literally removed the ground beneath our home, physically erasing the traces of a fragile past that my grandfather accepted everything in silence while I was angry with everything and everyone, including him. I abandoned him and left. In my wanderings, I witnessed the devastation of thousand-year-old archaeological sites, silent witnesses to the greatness of primitive men. Those ancient civilizations, with their fervent religiosity, had erected colossal monuments using stone, limestone, granite, marble, which, despite the signs of time and disasters, continued to tell their story. Unbeknownst to them, their gods had fallen into oblivion, while the memory of their ability to create the impossible still resonates today. I was studying art history and worked in technical workshops to support myself. I understood that today, in a world where waste seems to have taken over every other material, these very scraps can become the foundation for monumental works. After all, our cities are also rising again thanks to these materials, which, however, lose the shape of the artifact from which they are extracted. Transforming trash into memory is my way of honoring the past and challenging the present, keeping the original shape of the waste intact to narrate, in every air of degradation, the secret epics of those who have moved on. People have started to understand me. My works are liked, they move people, they spark discussions. But every time I receive recognition, every time I see someone stop, touch the materials, read the plaque, I think of him. My grandfather. I want to confide in you that, after more than a decade away, I returned home with the hope of rediscovering the roots of my existence, the places of my childhood, perhaps even a last goodbye to my grandfather to tell him about my experiences and ask for his forgiveness. But I found neither the old peninsula, nor the reassuring face of the one who accompanied me during my darkest moments, nor a grave or a sign that could tell his story. Pronuncia immense emptiness that still drives me to create, to give voice to that silent past. Today, my works are a tribute to those lost memories, to those lost people, monuments made from waste, witnesses of our ability to Japanese decay into something sublime and enduring. I believe that, just as primitive men carved their destiny into rock, so to do we can imprint our essence on the surrounding material, because in every waste there lies a story, in every destitute man the seed of a new rebirth. I thank my personal curator for this wonderful promotional neuro video. His name is Greg Nair. Remember him, you will hear about him soon. Advertising, go get a drink now.
I saw her for the first time in Ruben's messy, dirty kitchen, but I pretended not to notice. She, however, had other plans. I took her home with me, without saying a word. Did I already know who she was? Maybe.
Do you know what it is?
A neural decoder analyzes and processes thought.
Not exactly. It doesn't only read conscious thought. The little voice that we hear in our heads when we think reads the subconscious. Moreover, its first use was precisely in psychoanalysis, then its playful use was discovered.
What are you doing with such a professional and expensive tool?
I'm a curator, but I think you knew.
Do you want to? Me, curator? I've been doing my periodic maintenance lately.
You try to change the subject. You're not here to. Did you know who I was?
And you don't seem to me to be such a desperate guy to want to have with a sick woman. You brought me here because subjects like me have an interesting neural activity.
Yes. Sorry.
But then, why did you avoid me in the kitchen at Ruben's? Because you didn't just invite me. After all, you can earn a lot of money.
I was scared. The curator has to connect with the artist of thought, without filters. And I don't know what I will find in your head. I've never worked with a person in a suit like yours.
That's why psychoanalysts no longer use it. Only the greedy like you.
You've been here for a few minutes, you don't know me, and you already insult me.
Anyway, I liked your neuro video of Ruben.
Thank you, even if it's a lie. It was the first job after months of inactivity, and frankly, it wasn't even a good job.
Well, do you think I might have some talent?
I will scan everything, and I will see the material I find to work on. But I warn you, there will be no secrets that you can hide from me.
And will I be able to read inside you?
The connection is one way. You are the transmitter and I am the receiver.
Okay. I accept. Is it painful? Does it last long?
Oh, it's not painful for you. It lasts a maximum of 10 seconds. Well, let's proceed then. Now I'll explain how it works. It's very simple. Being a specific machine, we need an interface between it and our neural port. After that, all you need to do is give the command, and everything will happen automatically. The machine responds to my commands and bodily parameters, so it wouldn't work with others. I had it customized. For safety, I will keep this anesthetic injection to administer to myself in case of danger. It's better not to stay close to me, it could be dangerous.
Don't worry.
In any case, I have my anesthetic. Let's begin. Neuroreader, start the new procedure.
Welcome back, Greg. Initializing new profile. What is the artist's name?
Name of the artist is Lise.
Welcome, Lise. System test in progress. Warning! Transmitter subject has a neural network showing signs of precedent overloads.
You doing of wish?
I stopped a few weeks ago.
Neuroreader. Is it possible to complete the procedure?
The procedure can be completed, but the downloading times will be longer, estimated at 60 seconds.
A minute is not much.
Yes, like a slow stab. In any case, Neuroreader, begin the procedure.
Get comfortable. The procedure is about to begin.
I care a new form of art, that of pure thought. In the past of humanity, an artist was a human being whom fate had endowed with a talent for a form of art, allowing them to express their inner world. Art was nonetheless perceived by the five senses and created by the body, even when the simple writer performed the act of typing. And what about those who lacked talent, who did not have the means to express their inner world? They remained in oblivion, Who knows how many human beings had something grand within, but had no way to express it. Today, however, it is possible. Neurotechnologies allow us to read thoughts, not only the conscious ones, but especially and, much more interestingly, the subconscious. What is thought? A combination of faded traces of sensations received previously, which the subject's subconscious processes. The subconscious, our most authentic part, a treasure buried beneath morality and education. And I take it out. Let's take this girl. She is a very interesting subject. The suit is not very common because it is quite expensive, and her life seems to have not been easy for quite some time. Her father was even a general of the Centaur troops, the robotic troops that were in charge of quelling rebellions in various parts of the world. These robots were quite autonomous, but world law required neural control over their behavior and a command center for mission planning. And it seems that her father was in charge of one of the most important command centers. Then comes retirement, and the old warrior peacefully enjoys his life and his family, forgetting the massacres he had ordered those monstrous machines to carry out. Do you remember that morning at the market? You, a student from a wealthy background, and your parents wanting to buy some fruit, of course synthetic. Then the explosion, and your loved ones are killed, and you end up paralyzed from the neck down. Your father's powerful political friends give you a gift in his memory, a neuroreactive suit, an evolution of the old exoskeletons, too heavy and used only in the military field. These suits made of shape memory fiber through nanotechnology allow almost perfect neural control of the body, but have defects. They emit bad odors upon contact with the body, and after a while, they cause sores from rubbing and annoying dermatitis. But these are issues that can be managed with regular checkups. The bigger problems are others. The suits are not eternal, they last around 5 years and are expensive. But then there's the last problem, the dark one of mental distress. Often, people who wear the suit feel it as a sentence and a prison, worsening the trauma the subject may have. She could still make a life for herself with what his parents had left her. But she ended up in the trap of Wish and squandered everything on drugs and periodic maintenance of the suit. Wish is not a simple chemical organic substance, but a digital virus that infiltrates the neural interface, rewriting signals and disrupting neurotransmitters. For every version of Wish, the neural port evolves, raising its defenses and forcing consumers to chase after new, increasingly sophisticated variants in a never-ending spiral of addiction and risk. Believe me, the first time I enter into a subject, I do it without filters or automatic controls, and it is an experience comparable only to Wish. In fact, the two experiences are similar, but the curator creates a product that will protect the end customer even if this means not providing a complete vision, while the Wish is created by artificial intelligence to give the most out of the experience, even if this means overloading the organic neural system, that is, the brain, and damaging it. However, there is a difference. The Wish does provide satisfying and pleasant experiences, but within the subconscious you can find terrible and indescribable nightmares. Here is the right term: indescribable. This technology has bypassed this word and makes you understand what cannot be described. I keep a dose of anesthetic ready because in case of neural overload, the only way not to end up either crazy or a vegetable is oblivion, but first I have to wait and hold on as long as possible to see what I'm dealing with and how much I can gain.
Neuroactive out of range. Danger. Medical assistance recommended.
Where is the anesthetic?
Greg, the neurofunctions are returning to normal, but I recommend a period of rest.
Your brain will get us rich.
Neuro reading complete. Neural network data backup successful.
Well woken up. You partied last night. Don't worry about your valuable interfaces, they are in their case. Let's go to the kitchen. You need a coffee.
Are you connected, Ruben? What do you think about it?
Absolutely not. Only a fool like you would do something like that. I think you have found your golden goose.
How do you say that without connecting?
I saw some videos with audio, very beautiful, some look like works of ancient artists. Listen. Until the techniques of neurotransmissions were invented, people used electronic screens. Like those of your terminal, and even before that, only with a canvas to paint or a pen to write a book. And the empty spaces of cognitive experience were filled by imagination, and it was an important and rewarding stimulus. What does the artist mean? How did he arrive at those conclusions? Sometimes it was the artist himself who did not explain his works to give space to various interpretations. I, in my small way, try to do this, and I hope that people are understanding it.
I see only a great effort that can be spared.
Unfortunately, in you and in many of your generation, there is no longer the desire and pleasure that can come from discovery through analysis with one's own thinking. I may be old, but I believe that these neuro experiences have extinguished the desire to analyze the abstract.
Nice speech, but with respect, the only thing I think is that it is time to call the pilot right away, prepare a demo, and try to schedule an appointment for next week. Hi Barry, it's Greg.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good. Thank you. I have a new project on my hands. Could you set up an appointment for me with Max Bell?
Another hallucinatory dream of a drug addict?
No, not just that. Anyway, I would like to bring a demo.
Let me see. MMMHH. Let's do next Thursday at 5 p.m.
That's fine. I can assure you that I won't disappoint you this time.
Greg, we go away.
Lise, please don't look for me these days because I have to work on the demo. I'll call you when I know something. Hi Max. I'm here. Sorry for bothering.
Hi Greg, I was waiting for you, sorry. I'm finishing an article, please make yourself comfortable. I heard you have something to show me, sorry. I'm disconnecting right now.
Here is the demo that Barry told you about.
You know, Greg, at first I was really fascinated by your work and your way of working, the screen, the keyboard, the interfaces. I found it so archaic, so artisanal. After all, if you had entered my office 3 centuries ago, you would have found a desk full of electronic interfaces. Many of you were making this attempt to introduce this new form of what you call art. I took a lot of interest in the part dedicated to the projection of the subconscious. More than the sensorial projections, I considered it the true leap in genre. But it never had a wide audience, let's be clear. Even in the past, few people lingered in front of a painting, trying to understand its meaning, what the author wanted to convey. The audience's feedback is not positive, people get bored quickly, and as for the projections of the subconscious, there were very few moments of genius that people perceived, then only delirium. You brought me this demo. I decided to try it myself. I was curious. Ruben told me I wouldn't regret it, and I trust you. I'm not risking frying any synapses.
It lasts a few seconds. Don't worry.
Okay. I'm going then.
What do you think?
What did you say the author's name is?
I didn't say her name is Lise.
Is she under contract?
Not yet.
Good. Let's set up a meeting to discuss the points. I don't know how to express what I felt. Sad. But it also conveys power.
I tried to summarize in a few sentences that attempt to describe these feelings. Freedom and death. the razor's edge, forever. A run. A punch in the stomach, an explosion of poverty, of loneliness, of darkness, and that was Lise's ambition. I won it as an introduction. I've even chosen the title of Lise Agrees. The Sleep Kings.
Hi, Greg. Always with that vintage touch, the glasses and the watch.
They are imitations. The originals are very expensive.
Excuse me. You must be Lise. I'm Liv Solberg, the artistic director. And I had the opportunity to receive a duplicate of your demo, and I must say that if the rest is of the same quality, there are the foundations for great success. Ah, Government Advisor Callum Weatherby. Meet you, Greg Nair and Lise. I don't know the surname.
Lise Grabowski, I'm sorry for your father. A man who made an important contribution to the normalization of the world. Greg, it's a pleasure to meet you. Since I'm here, I'd like to take the opportunity to chat with you for a bit, if that's not a problem, before the meeting.
Nice to meet you, Miss Grabowski. I am Alistair O'Connell. I am the sales director.
Just call me Lise, please.
Nice to meet you, Miss Lise. Max Bell, General Director.
The counselor had to leave. He sends his regards.
Well, since we are all here, we can start. We are connected to the corporate network, where you'll activate your neuro gate and you'll be connected automatically.
The connection has been established successfully. We are sending you the copy of the contract so you can review it, and here is the paper copy.
But I see that by signing, I give the curator the possibility to modify my intellectual work as he sees fit.
Miss Lise. She was the first to see what can happen if the product is not prepared accurately, and Mr. Nair is the most qualified to do this job.
I understand, so since this product has to be prepared to be used by everyone, the selling price will also be low, to allow everyone to use it.
For almost everyone, of course, we don't have the obligation to prepare a product for minors, since the neurogate is implanted in almost everyone around the age of 12. We will ensure to have a price for widespread distribution.
Of course, Greg won't be able to start working until you accept and sign the contract. You can sign, right, Lise?
Sure, Liv, my father loved ancient practices and I can write perfectly in cursive as well. Although I don't understand why we need to sign a piece of paper, when it'd be enough to give a simple thought of consent, so that the network can record and certify it.
The important documents are all printed, to avoid the loss of huge amounts of data, as in the period of 3 centuries.
Yes, but not only this, the meeting, we could have all gathered in a neuro conference. You could have sent me the contract with a simple courier.
Miss Lise, we are human beings. We still need feedback in reality, sometimes.
You say that here, in this world, it is reality, and that everything out there is just virtual. But for me, reality is a mosaic that changes every moment. The faces of people are never the same, they shift like shadows in the passage of light, reflections of their moods and mine. Sometimes I see beauty where others see only imperfection, other times I see strangers in those I thought I knew. Perhaps there is not just one reality, but infinite realities, as many as there are perceptions and feelings of those who observe.
This is what I imagined from you. I already have confidence in the result we will have. It will be amazing.
Anyway, here is your signature. I believe you got what you wanted. I am leaving, thank you for your kindness, and your money.
Sorry, but maybe it's better if I talk to her for a moment.
What do you want, me to go apologize?
It is not necessary, they have had the important part, your signature.
So what do you want?
I know what you are going to do with the money.
Yes. You read my mind right. I'm about to get myself a good updated wish, and you know why, right?
It's the only thing that makes you forget your nightmares.
Come on, Greg. Don't pretend that I'm the first junkie you meet. You could have guessed that I would have done it without needing to get into my head. I was out of money. Anyway, I'd like to remind you that the first thing you did after our connection was to get high. I live every moment this way. The world around me bends, changes shape, as if I were in a dream from which I can't wake up. Only this helps me relax. Only like this can I sleep a little at night.
Lise, your mind isn't that of a drug addict, don't destroy it.
Goodbye, Greg. Only look for me if you have more money to give me.
From that day, I worked nonstop for a month. The neural decoder did a first check of the parameters, to make the values reached bearable. However, my job is also that of testing, to make the work totally harmless. I am delving even further into Lise's world. I sleep very little, sometimes I see my face changing before my eyes, a mask I no longer recognize. This project pushes me beyond every limit, and while I try to give shape to Lise's subconscious, mine unravels, searching for my true self beyond the reflection in the mirror, beyond the 10,000 versions of myself that I see reflected. Anyway, I completed the work within the expected time and produced a work of art, harmless and for everyone. The launch was a success, and Pilot did an excellent job with the publicity. People quickly began to get to know and appreciate Lise's work and mine. In just 1 month, The King of Sleep had become the best-selling neural origin work of all time. We won several awards, but Lise never attended the ceremonies, so I was the one to collect them all. In reality, it had become difficult to track her down, she had left only the channel for the credits open. Everything was going smoothly, my bank account was exploding, and I had become a celebrity. But two things slightly tarnished that happiness. The first was some reviews that described the work as merely a beautiful consumer product, destined to be forgotten. The second was a theft, my neurodecoder had disappeared. I didn't file a report, I believed I knew who had taken it and why. One evening, tired of staying at home, full of money and aware that I was a new and rich man, I didn't want to look in the mirror and see the old loser. Perhaps that was what Lise had left inside me, but I needed to feel changed. I went out and went to a bar where a friend of mine, Suzanne, a very pretty bartender, worked. I started talking to her, and she seemed to appreciate my new look. But my gaze was caught by the reflection in the mirror behind her. A shabby couple, but surely no problem paying, because they would have been thrown out immediately. She, above all, caught my attention, long black hair, a blue dress under which the blue charged lights of the suit were visible. Her face marked by discomfort, but I managed to recognize her. It was Lise. I felt a sense of repulsion. I could no longer stay there. I paid and said goodbye, a little regretfully. I was about to leave, but something stopped me, a doubt remained. I wanted to ask her about the neural decoder. I turned and was about to go toward her, but I was literally struck by her gaze, full of everything that was most negative in the world. I left immediately. Who are you? What do you want?
I've to return your computer to
She
you.
had stolen it, just as I had thought.
You should thank Lise instead, because she saved him and also saved you. And maybe even me. Anyway. I'm leaving the computer on the floor behind the door. Inside it, you will find many answers to your questions. Farewell.
Hey Greg. I'm the new user interface for your computer. I bet you're surprised to see me instead of those awful blue brains and that outdated robotic voice. From now on, when you work on your computer, I'll be keeping you company. My appearance is modeled after Lise, before everything happened to her that you already know about, and my voice was also sampled from hers. You can't delete me, or you'll lose all your saved data. They programmed me to tell you that if the computer came back into your possession, it meant that Lise is dead. It was one of her last wishes. I'm sorry. The man who brought the computer here is a leading expert in his field, which is neurocoding. His name is Dr. Lucas Petrov. Lise contacted him to try to extract her original file, but even for him, it was impossible to get the saved data without destroying the computer. The explanation is quite simple. Your beloved laptop was originally a military project a long time ago, so it has tamper-proof systems that are ironically strong, even though they are quite old-fashioned. So Dr. Petrov tried to get another device to program, but with little success. These devices were becoming rarer and rarer, and do you know why? The government is buying them or getting them in various ways, because they found out they can be used in two ways in the military, either to interrogate spies or as a means of torture. Interesting, right? The fact is, in the end, he got hold of a neurodecoder, but by then the government had shut down Lise's Neurogate, so the suit was useless, putting their old threats into action.
In Lise's mind, I had seen everything. With a world population of just 500 million people, after the 3-century period, the desire for peace was so strong that weapons of mass destruction had disappeared and were, above all, abolished. However, the population was growing, and new opposing blocs were forming. The reasons were the usual ones, but boiled down to conquering as much territory as possible. Lise's father had taken part in the normalization actions of vast areas occupied by populations who, by adapting, had managed to live in contaminated areas. In recent years, Lise's father had been haunted by guilt, but also by uncertainty. I don't understand. Why didn't they leave? Why did they fight for those contaminated lands? We offered them a new opportunity and medical care, but nothing, they told us, these lands are ours, he would say. She would comfort him, and he would confide in her about the government's new military initiatives. Thanks to the new technologies for manipulating the internal bonds of an atom structure, we could make radiation decay in a contaminated area. We used atomic decay towers, the state-of-the-art of our technology, fully automated and even able to power themselves with the energy produced from the decay. However, having these towers around prevented any human settlement in the area for a few years. So, opposing governments realized that nuclear weapons could be used not just as deterrents but also as actual weapons of war, since bombarded territories could be reused pretty quickly. Then clean, unlimited energy, the race to space. Lise said to him, "Dad, this is surely a good thing, we can finally conquer space." No. He knew that governments were reviving an old project from 3 centuries ago. Kinetic weapons. Imagine an asteroid hurtling toward Earth. It hits the ground at a crazy speed, and all that speed turns into destructive energy. By using a calibrated and controlled projectile, if you lodge something into orbit and hurl it at Earth using only gravity, you can cause incredible damage, but without radiation damage. The drop in costs to get material into orbit made this very old war attack project feasible. They were even thinking about not using missiles, but instead capturing small asteroids from space and pushing them toward enemies, with the added benefit of recovering valuable material from the asteroid once it landed. The advisor was really a friend of Lise's family. When he talked to me, he told me that after the attack, he went to see Lise and swore to her that the attack had been carried out by one of the terrorist groups supporting the exiled populations. He asked Lise not to disclose any classified military information, promising that in return he would provide support for her new situation, that is, the neuroreactive suit. But if she didn't follow these rules, he wouldn't be able to do anything to protect her. The pain and loneliness drove her to drugs. She always needed money. She knew the information she had was valuable and dangerous, and she saw in me a way to profit from it and, at the same time, by becoming famous, gain a kind of shield against government retaliation.
Lise wanted her file created in this decoder, so that she could broadcast it in full, and be able to use it herself. Using money she earned, she contacted an expert in neural reading systems. That night when you saw them in the bar, they had just met. The expert was clear you couldn't extract the file without destroying the decoder. She didn't want to, she knew what it meant for you. The government hooked up the information, and turned off the Neurogate and consequently Lise's suit. Why not eliminate her? You see, the success of the King of Sleep protected you and also Lise, however you are two VIPs, so too visible. But the success of the King of Sleep is ending, and your product would be forgotten, at which point your life and Lise's life would be in danger. At that point, Lise made a decision. She knew there wouldn't be any need to kill her, she wouldn't have lived long under those conditions, and they would have gotten to you sooner or later too. If she had to die, she wanted you to survive, but also for her thoughts to be fully known by everyone. Dr. Petrov suggested the primitive extraction neurotechnique to her. You know what that is, right?
I know. The first neurodecoding techniques weren't as perfect as they are today. The insertion of the slow-release neurogate made of biocompatible material allows the body to assimilate all the synthetic terminals, neuron by neuron, without damage. But this assimilation takes several years, and it's better if it happens at a young age to avoid harming nerve tissue. It wasn't always like this, though. The techniques we recovered from the last part of the 22nd century, which we've greatly improved today, were invasive and devastating. In fact, they hadn't been used on a large scale, only on prisoners of war at the time. The materials used, the invasiveness in the body, and especially the fact that neurons were attacked too quickly by the synthetic terminals, causing them to die, led to connection failure and the subject's death. So, did she say yes?
Yes. He didn't have years to wait for the installation of a slow-release neurogate, so he went with this technique instead.
It was crazy, it's a sure death.
Yes, she knew, she didn't care.
And what about the data, what happened to it?
Told you. His wish was for everyone to know his thoughts. The professor created a special seed. A seed is a core set of data that gets absorbed by the brain. Usually, you download it from a server. But the doctor knew the government would block everything once they found out. He used a brand new technique. The seed isn't downloaded from a server but from the neurogate of a person who has the seed, who then becomes the server you connect to in order to download it. Basically, if you want the seed, you just need to get close to someone who has absorbed it. Another interesting thing is that once the seed is installed, the government can't remotely shut down the neurogate anymore. They've already
But if they do this, a lot of people will either die or go crazy.
done it.
Hey, how's it going, Ruben?
Good, you?
Unemployed.
Well, I have to say that lately, I've also noticed a drop in interest in my work. I think we both know the reason, even for your lack of work.
Yes.
And that's exactly why I called you, to show you something. Maybe you've heard about it.
The talks to praise Lise's thinking.
See for yourself.
After almost 2 centuries of endless wars, diseases that wiped out entire generations, and a climate that reshaped the very land itself, and 3 long centuries of total darkness for any form of civilization, we find ourselves living in a reborn humanity, but scared, afraid of falling again, like a child who has just learned to walk and stands close to the edge of a cliff. In this desolate scenario, reaffirming the right to live anywhere, even in places that once seemed strange, inhospitable, or even forbidden, becomes an act of rebellion and hope. Because living isn't just about occupying space, it's about claiming your existence in the relentless flow of time, without being trapped by what has been or by what others have decided. Accepting your destiny in this new world means recognizing the fluid and ever-changing nature of being, like water molding to its container, transforming without losing its essence. We are at the same time both content and container, form and substance, in an ongoing becoming where the line between what we are and what surrounds us dissolves, and perhaps must dissolve, in order to be reborn. This is why we have failed in space so far, even now that we have the technology, because we don't accept that those who go into space will have to change, will have to accept what the new environment will do to them, for better or worse. If humanity's destiny is extinction, let it be a destiny accepted with awareness, not as a defeat, but as part of the eternal cycle of life and death. Of being and non-being. A natural flow that reminds us of our finiteness and our deep connection with everything that came before us and everything that will come. Enough with copying civilizations that led to the destruction of the world. They want us to imitate their technology, their architecture, their way of dressing, in short, their way of living. But isn't that almost what brought the world to the brink of extinction? It's time to find our own way of living. And if it's wrong, at least we'll fall knowing we had the courage to try.
I miss my parents. I miss my elders.
I understand your pain, and I miss my elders too. They tried to move into this new era, into our new humanity, according to the thoughts of our beloved Lise. They understood that this new world rests on an old world that will bring a new cycle of destruction and death. But unfortunately, the world that awaits us won't be easy, it will be tough. Fate decided that maybe death was better for them. We will always remember them with honor, never with dishonor, because they understood, while many others don't.
And when you're passed away, they said none of your kids will have the Neurogate. How will you pass them the seed?
Don't worry, Lisa's last thought says that she'll give us a new seed, where her thought will pass to the newborns without needing a Neurogate.
It seems like a new religion has been born. After all the elements are there. A prophet who dies to spread his beliefs, a doctrine in tune with the times, and a generation of young people eager to be indoctrinated. You got it all wrong. Lise wasn't an artist. She was a prophet, not exactly a messiah, but close. You know, even if I haven't fully taken in the seed, I agree with what these guys are saying.
You didn't realize, Ruben, that you influenced Lisa's thinking without meaning to while she was living with you, with the story of your life and your work. I think you could handle the seed. You'd be one of the few adults who would survive.
Yes, maybe, but you saw Lisa's thoughts for the first time. Was this her message?
Today we don't have a sacred book meant to pass on a message to be spread among followers, but a pure thought. But in this thought, just like ancient sacred books were written, you can find anything and everything. In the end, you can read whatever you want into it.
When there's lightning, it always brings me down. 'Cause it's free and I see that it's me who's lost and never found. I cry out for magic, I feel it dancing in the light. It was cold, lost my hope to the shadows of the night. No sign of the morning coming. You've been left on your own like a rainbow in the dark. Like a rainbow.
Let me go away. I don't want to stay in this fake paradise anymore.
I'm sorry, but I also need the organic part, not just your decoded neural map, for the last part of the project. What we are about to do is the highest level of human science. We will make sure to imprint your way of thinking and your behavioral patterns directly into the DNA of anyone who receives the seed, even if to do this we will have to use a modified interface and not a simple transmission. The recipient will not only receive the seed, with everything your brilliant brain contains, but will also have a DNA modification that will allow their offspring to inherit your behavioral trait as if it were an instinctive pattern. We still need to work on it. But we are making remarkable progress. Thanks to you.
What you're saying is monstrous. I don't want to. Please stop.
I can't. I'm sorry.